Hello, I'm Mrs. Borman. I teach fourth grade at Shorecrest Preparatory School here in sunny, beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. And I'm going to read chapter 16 of Amal, Unbound. The familiar stretches of brown and green patchwork earth I had known all my life swept past me in a blur before transforming into plush, manicured green as the car slowed down and the driver turned onto a gravel road lined with shade trees. When the estate materialized in the distance, only the second-story windows and balconies were visible from behind the huge brick wall surrounding it. An armed guard with a grim expression led us in at the wrought iron gate. The steel lock clicked loudly when the gate shut behind us. The driver walked me into the cavernous house and dumped my things next to a marble staircase in the middle of the foyer before turning to leave. "Wait, Ghulam, what's this?" asked a gangly teenager with a mop of curls. He stared at me from across the foyer. "How should I know?" the man grumbled. "I'm Nazreen's driver, not his. Why I'm stuck running his errands is beyond me." He walked away, his footsteps echoing into the distance. The teenager stood in a sunken living room with oversized sofas. Next to him stood a younger girl, about my age, with a sharp jaw and straight brown hair. Floor-to-ceiling windows behind them overlooked a tiled veranda with wicker sofas and a sprawling garden. "I think that's the new girl Mumtaz told us about," the girl said. "Remember? What do we need a new servant for?" "How should I know, Bilal?" She turned to me and asked, "Do you know where you're supposed to go?" I shook my head. "Where's Mumtaz?" the girl asked Bilal. "She'll know." "Probably in the servants' quarters. Can you take her?" "Nabila, you know I have to get these shoes to Jawad C. I'm already running late." "Well, if she stands there gawking, it'll be us he yells at for not putting her to work." She sighed and walked over to me. "Come on," she told me. "Let's find Mumtaz. She'll know what to do." "Well, good luck," Bilal nodded to us before he hurried away. I lugged my suitcase and tried to keep up with her, but it was hard not to get distracted. This house was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Back home, I could touch my ceiling with my hand if I stood on a chair, but here the ceiling seemed to graze the sky. Grim-faced family members stared at me from photographs lining the egg-white hallways. Each room we passed was larger than the one before it, and all were filled with brilliant rugs covering marble floors. Light poured in through enormous windows. I followed Nabila through a curved entrance down a new hallway. Everything was darker and shabbier here. Instead of marble floors, this part of the house had gray concrete. The cooled air of the main house was replaced here by hot, musty air and the smell of frying onions. A man in a faded shalwar kameez holding a broom and a dustpan brushed past me as he headed toward the main house. A woman followed carrying a basket of laundry, pants and shirts and shalwar kameezes piled in a heap. "Your arm any better?" the woman paused to ask Nabila. "Oh," Nabila glanced down. Only now did I realize her left arm had white gauze wrapped around it. The burn looked worse than it was. The tray was too bulky and there were too many things on it. "We'll keep it bandaged for a week," she said. "Make sure it doesn't get any worse." "I will," Nabila said to the woman. "Did you find out how long Jawad Sahib is going out of town for?" "I know he's leaving after dinner. Bilal just loaded a pretty big suitcase into his trunk. It's got to be at least a week or two, but hopefully longer." She smiled before continuing on. Nabila ushered me further down the narrow hallway and stopped at a rickety door. It creaked when she pushed it open. "This is the only spare room, so it must be yours," she told me. "You're next to Sugufta, the woman I was just talking to." I looked in the cramped, windowless space, empty except for the worn Sharpay. This wasn't a bedroom. It was a prison cell. Beads of sweat prickled my forehead. "What's going on?" a voice said. It was an older woman with a nose ring like my mother's. "This is Mumtaz," Nabila told me before turning to her. "I was looking for you. The new girl arrived," she gestured toward me. "I didn't know where to put her." "She's going to be in the room next to Nazreen's." "Nazreen Baji's room?" Nabila stared at her. "I know. She just told me," Mumtaz replied. "But why?" Nabila asked. "How should I know?" Mumtaz glanced at my suitcase. "Bring that along with you into the kitchen for now. Nazreen wants you to get acquainted there. She'll meet with you after dinner." I lifted my suitcase and pushed back my growing dread. "It's hard at first, I know," Mumtaz said gently, "but you get used to it." Get used to it? I thought of Safa and Rabia shrieking through the house, Lubna sleeping in my arms, the sound of Omar's bicycle chime. That was the life I was used to, and it felt as distant to this one as the stars in the night sky, the stars that could no longer guide me home.